Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. My name is Ivory, and you are tuned in to the Embracing Neurodiversity podcast, where I share my personal journey of embracing and enhancing the experience of my amazing son who is on the spectrum. Through this journey, I've discovered a lot about myself and continue to grow every day. My goal is to provide you with some useful insights and stories that will inspire you in your own parenting journey. Thank you for tuning in. Good morning. Hi, everybody. Welcome back. Thank you for supporting per usual. I'm so excited that I have been able to carve out some time to record a video podcast this week. The last two podcasts I've done, I had not had the capacity, time, space to record a video. And so I'm glad that I can do that. As the audience is growing, I hope that I am growing along with you all. So thank you per usual for always supporting. I'm going to jump right in because I have some robust information that I am excited to talk about today. First, I want to discuss why it was important for me to talk about this particular topic and what inspired it. And so, I don't know if you all are familiar with, there's a YouTube channel, it's called Jubilee, and they do this activity it's like a spectrum activity. And spectrum, not necessarily in the context of the autism spectrum, but in the context of people who have two different life experiences and where they exist on the spectrum, whether they have similarities or differences and or maybe some things that overlap and where they all intersect. And so I was watching a video that they posted about a week ago. And I'm going to look to my right, maybe your left, because I want to look down at my computer so I can make sure I have the correct information for you. But there was a video posted about how do autistic people experience love. And of course, as an autism mom, as an advocate for neurodiversity, I'm always interested in consuming information like this so that my perspective can continue to evolve and so that I can be the best mother for my son who is on the autism spectrum, right? And I had a little bit of reservation clicking on the video because sometimes, whether it is intended or not, a lot of the content around autism is shown through the lens of people who are not on the spectrum, or it is more of a spectator sport as opposed to bringing those who have the actual experience into the creation of their storytelling. And so this video, which I'm going to post below, and maybe I can pull some clips and insert them into this podcast. I don't know if there is a copyright issue or not, but I'll see. Nevertheless, this particular video did an excellent job of amplifying the voices of those who experience autism, and they as couples, right? Two people who are autistic, who are couples, and how they experience love with each other. I'm pausing because I actually think there was one couple where one of the partners was autistic, but the other was not. But the other partners, I think there were like 4 couples. The other couples, they both were autistic, which I thought was so beautiful to see. But the way that the video was able to capture their story in a genuine way and amplify their voices in a way that humanized their experience, it just almost brought me to tears, right? And so it had me thinking about why representation matters so much. If you don't see yourself in media, in larger society, then you begin to think that there's something wrong with you, even though we've talked about in the past and we can continue to unpack in the future, that there are some intentional structures in place that absolutely and purposely creates narratives that make people who are quote unquote different feel that there's something wrong with them. But I feel good about the direction that our society is moving in, because I am seeing a lot more, and maybe it's just the perspective that I'm choosing to look at it from, but I'm seeing a lot more content around storytelling from the experience, the lived experience of the person, as opposed to someone else telling their story, which is problematic in itself. And so when someone who has just shared experience is speaking about their story and it is amplified on a larger platform, you then feel seen, you feel heard, you feel empowered. And so my heart just melted in watching the video. It gave me hope for the possibilities for my son. And so I hope that I'm going to link it, and I hope that other parents who are raising neurodiverse children check it out. And hopefully it gives you a little bit of hope as well. But it had me thinking about why representation matters. And in doing that, I began to jot down some reasons why, and I wanted to break it down for you all so that you can begin to think about the importance of representation, so that number one, you can intentionally place your child in spaces and places with people who look like them and have their shared experience. And number two, so they can help you as a parent shift your mindset and see your child from a strength-based perspective. So number one, why is representation important? Diverse perspectives, right? Representation ensures that there are a variety of perspectives at the table, which reflects the richness of the human experience. The human experience is not one experience. There are billions of people on this planet, and which means there are billions of experiences. And while there are shared experiences, there are experiences that have yet to be celebrated, have yet to be told. And I think that when we as a society get to a place where we truly honor every individual's experience and want to learn and amplify that experience, then we all become better human beings, right? And so that diverse perspective is essential. So that's number one. Number two, inclusivity. We hear this term a lot, particularly in workplaces and in educational spaces, as it relates to DEI. However, inclusivity is bigger than let's make sure we're representing everyone. It's also about making people feel as though they belong exactly who they are, that they don't have to shift or change things about themselves in order to be included or feel included. And so it reduces that feeling of isolation, but it also increases the idea of pride and a desire to be oneself in any space. So inclusivity is essential, and it is why representation matters, right? Number three, dismantling stereotypes. While it is not particularly the responsibility of marginalized communities to dismantle stereotypes, it is the responsibility of the majority to learn. The way that we learn is by proper representation of both challenges and strengths of those that live and have different experiences, right? The more that our people's stories and the representation of who they are is told, the more that we get an accurate understanding of diverse groups, and therefore the stereotypes that we believe of people begin to shift. Number four, I mentioned this earlier, but empowerment, right? Seeing yourself and others inspires you to be more confident about who you are and believing your own abilities. If there's a woman who has come from my similar background and looks like me and is now in a position of power for herself, that inherently is going to make me feel that I can do the same, which is why representation is important, but it's also why, in many ways, for marginalized groups, they only allow a handful of people to be in those spaces because most people understand the power of representation and the ripple effect that it can have. Empowering others who have shared experience to live in their truth is why representation also matters. Number 5, the cultural understanding, right? And so this could be similar to dismantling stereotypes, in the but the cultural understanding applies more towards understanding traditions and customs and lifestyles. And that builds empathy. It builds relatability. Although we all have different experiences, when we begin to learn about each other's stories, we find that in many ways we all have similarities too. And that can create empathy and compassion when necessary.